Let's do the meditation first, and then I'll introduce myself real briefly. Then we'll do the chanting. So find a comfortable position. And just keep remembering that your body being comfortable in your posture is very important. You don't want to be distracted by pain in your body or discomfort. So let your back be straight, but work with your own body. If you need a prop somewhere to help you, don't feel bad about using those. Gently close your eyes. You can also sit with your eyes open if it's uncomfortable for you to close your eyes. Let your hands rest in your lap. Keep your palms open, but you can have one palm inside the other. Or you can have both palms open, face down on your upper legs, or they can face up. You want your hands to be relaxed, so try not to clench your fist. And if you can, just breathe in and out through your nostrils. For the first 2 or 3 breaths, you want to accent the breath. And so take a deeper in-breath. And on the out-breath, just release everything. Just do 1 or 2 of those deep breaths to help bring your mind and your body and your everything all into one spot. Really be in your body. Feel your body. Be aware of how you feel sitting on your chair or on the cushion. Then go back to just a natural breath, breathing in and breathing out again. Notice where you most feel your breath. And you can focus on that area. So typically it may be around your nose, just below your nose, just where you feel the breath as you exhale and inhale. And sometimes it's easier to feel your breath just by the way your tummy will move out when you inhale and contract a bit as you exhale. So you can choose either of those spots to watch your breath. So we always say, come back to your breath over and over. If we become distracted in our practice, we know to always come back to that spot where you're seeing and feeling your breath. So we'll begin with a short loving kindness practice. So just begin as you're sitting with your breath. Just begin to send messages of kindness to yourself. May I be well. May I be content. May I know joy and happiness. May I feel safe in the world. And may I be at peace. Breathe in the blessings that you're giving yourself. Now widen the circle and move out and think of your loved ones, your family members, your dear friends. May my loved ones be well, and may they be content. May they know joy and happiness. May they feel safe in this world. And may they live at peace. Now move out even further in your thoughts and think of all other human beings. You can think of the people you know and like. You can think of people you know and dislike. Think of people that you've never met. Just let it expand out to all human beings. May all human beings be well. May they be content. May they know happiness and joy. May they feel safe in the world. May they live in peace. Now just really let your focus become wider and wider. And imagine and think of all living beings, human and non-human, on this planet and even throughout the universe. May all living beings, human and non-human, beings visible to us and the ones invisible to us, may all these beings be free from suffering, free from fear and worry and anxiety, free from hunger and thirst and the extremes of the weather. May all beings be able to care for themselves or be cared for by loved ones. And may all of these beings dwell in peace. Now just be aware again of your body. And be aware of what your senses are picking up on. Just be aware of sound. And be aware of smell. Be aware if your eyes are closed of the light that comes through your eyelids. Be aware of any taste you have in your mouth, or if your mouth is dry. And be aware of your sense of touch, where your body touches the chair or the floor or a cushion. How your clothes feel against your skin. And also, because we think of our mind as one of our sense organs in the Buddhist teachings, think of what's going on in your mind, in your head right now. Be aware of your thoughts, but just let those thoughts move through your mind. No need to stop and let them turn into stories. No need to add on to the thoughts or keep them going. Just allow them to flow through your mind like clouds floating through the sky. Anytime you start to get distracted by thought, or anything else coming into you through your senses, just come back to the breath. Try to be curious about what you're experiencing. And be aware if your curiosity turns to dislike or judgment, or you find yourself creating stories around sounds you hear. See if you can drop all of that and just be aware. Thank you. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddhaṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi, Dhammaṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi, Sanghaṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi, Dutiyampi Buddhaṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi, Dutiyampi Dhammam Saraṇaṃ Gacchāmi, Dutiyampi Sangham Saraṇaṃ Gacchāmi, Tatiyampi Buddhaṃ Gacchāmi, Tatiyampi Dhammam Saraṇaṃ Gacchāmi, Tatiyampi Sangham Saraṇaṃ Gacchāmi, Anicca vata sankhara Upadevaya domino upajitva nirujanti tesam upasamo sukho sabbe satta avera hontu sabbe satta abhyapaja hontu sabbe satta aniga hontu sabbe satta sukhiyatanam hariharantu manopupang yamadama manoseta manomaya manasache padutena pasati va karoti va tato nang dukkha manveti tatvahato manopupang yamadama manoseta manomaya sannena vasativa karotiva sukha veti Mind is a forerunner of all states Mind is chief, mind made are they. If with the one should either suffering follows caused by that. Follow the axis of. Mind is the forerunner of all states. Mind is chief, mind made are they. If with a clear and confident mind one should either speak or act, happiness follows caused by that, as one shadow that never leaves. Generosity towards others. We believe the skillful, noble path is marked by generosity. We believe generosity has many levels. Speak generously, act generously. We believe generosity is the heart of our spiritual practice, and this practice allows us to become more open and forgiving. We believe extending generosity to ourselves and others is a direct way of healing division, bringing joy, and nurturing the spiritual community for years to come. May I become at all times, both now and forever, a protector for those who have lost their way, a ship for those with an ocean to cross, a sanctuary for those without light, a place of refuge for those, and a servant to all in need. By means of this meritorious deed, may I never join with the unwise, only the wise, until the time I attain Nibbana. Well, some of you I know really well, and some of you were here Saturday. And this is the biggest group I've ever seen in a Tuesday morning group. If this is your regular size group now, that's wonderful. This used to be maybe 10 or 11 people. Yeah, so this is lovely. I'll just hold the mic. Yeah, I can hold it. I don't know if they need it to record or something. I'm not sure. Okay. So, my name is Vimala, and that is my Buddhist name. I was a nun, a Buddhist nun for 14 years, and just decided to go back to being a layperson a year ago, which we call, in the Buddhist tradition, we call that disrobing. You're just handing your robes back to your teacher. And now I'm just a regular person again. Nothing has changed about my life except that. So I'm really grateful to be speaking to you today. I have some notes because I had chosen a topic, and then I went in search of what I needed from that topic. So I have a list of things, and if you were here Saturday, I left one thing off the list. So you'll have one piece that's new. So my topic was dealing with difficult times. Just the world, I think it feels like that we're in difficult times. And if you're like me, the last year or two have been difficult. The years since the pandemic, since we got to that point of the pandemic, we're not sure if it's still here or not. We don't want it to be, but people are still getting sick. Just coming out of that pandemic mode was a challenge for me. And and my last year has been a difficult year. And it started with my mother dying at the beginning of the year, and she was 96. But I discovered that really doesn't matter when you're grieving the loss of someone. It doesn't matter. If I was really grateful I had that much time with my mom, and I was with her when she died, which was real important for both of us. And the grief from that was much more than I expected. Not more than, but what I discovered was that grief doesn't really go away. It's you learn to live with it, and you learn to not even it's not even about distancing yourself from it. It's just you learn that grief is always there because someone you loved is not there. And so that's been a lesson for me that I've had to really face over and over. I had a kind of intense period of grieving at the beginning because just that kind of openness in my life became very glaring. She lived in Tennessee and was in assisted living. And so I'd call her every day, and I went to Tennessee where my younger brother also lives and would visit a lot. So just that change in my daily schedule of always talking to her, and I would always try to think of what would be something interesting to talk about, and would visit a lot, was very close to my brother and his family. So losing those things just seemed to create these like holes in my day. And I'd be thinking, oh, that's, my mama would like to hear, that'd be a funny story to tell her. And then I'd think, no, I can't tell her that story. So I just tell her the story anyway. And I know so many of you know much more about this experience of grief than I do. But there are those times when it can just kind of well up, and it would almost be like some kind of noise wanted to just come up out of my throat, just a feeling where it would be maybe a few seconds even, but just this that loss would just feel kind of overwhelming. So that was how my year started. And right after she died, I had COVID because I was in the hospital. She didn't have COVID, but I was staying in the hospital with her for those 2 weeks. So then it was also the first year of my being disrobed. So my whole schedule of being at the temple a lot and some of the thing I did was doing new things on Zoom that I kept doing, but my kind of daily schedule was different. And then I got sick and was diagnosed with cancer and had to go through a surgery and lots of radiation. And so there are reasons it was kind of a crummy year. And for a long time I kept thinking, why am I not feeling normal? And it wasn't a normal year. It took me a while to kind of piece all the parts together. So I decided I have to find something for my practice that's going to really be something that will help me focus on getting back to having some lightness, for feeling like my life was lighter and a little bit more joy in it. It's just kind of flat. It wasn't awful. I was functioning, but not with a lot of joy or happiness in it. So I thought that gratitude would probably be, I read some things about gratitude, and I thought, this is the way to get to be very full of gratitude. And how do I do that in my practice? Like how can gratitude be a help? And I knew that all through the pandemic, I had lots of things that became where gratitude, I had a lot of gratitude for watching wildlife and watching the seasons turn and kind of looking out. And I did last year I had done a lot of hiking. And I couldn't do that this year because of the healing from surgery and radiation. So I realized the things that were beautiful about those experiences were they just filled me with gratitude. So I watched squirrels all through the pandemic, and I still do. And there would always be joy arising from watching that and feeding the squirrels. So I knew it was going to be in little things because what my life looked like was pretty much the same, but that's not what was in my heart. So I found, the one thing I found out, and I'll just very briefly touch on this, in the suttas, the Buddha actually doesn't talk a lot about gratitude unless it's towards a teacher or someone. The Buddha would links kindness and gratitude, that they teach each other. So real gratitude, and this is, the Buddha was talking about on his path, gratitude is used to, when you really appreciate the kindness that someone gives you. And for the Buddha, that meant you appreciate your parents, number one. No matter if you like them or you don't like them, they gave you life. They brought you into this lifetime, and those are the people we should feel the most gratitude towards, and we can never repay them. The Buddha there's some very interesting suttas where he talks about, the depth of that gratitude. It's not one we can repay. But we should also have gratitude for the kindness of people who teach us things. So kindness to our teachers, and the gratitude towards the teacher, because their great kindness to us was to teach us. And he's talking, I think, primarily about spiritual teachers, or our parents as teachers, or everyone who has helped us develop the qualities that can give us wisdom and that have given us happiness in this life. So he doesn't talk the appreciation of the world. He didn't talk about appreciating squirrels, that kind of gratitude. But I think that kind of gratitude is important for us. I think gratitude, of the good things in our life or the lack of bad things, I think those are really important for us to be aware of. And in times where things are tough, those are sometimes things we can pull up. Not forgetting the gratitude of the sources of kindness, even from a book we've read or someone we've listened to or watched on Zoom who's a really good teacher. So I want to share with you the list that I found. It's 7 things. And okay, I don't want to, I'm going to do them kind of quickly today. So if you were here Saturday, you can kind of test your memory and see if you remember. These are things from Buddhist, all of these suggestions are things from Buddhist teachers. So this is more outside the specific teachings of the Buddha about gratitude, but I think these are Buddhist teachers that I respect and that have expanded it. So scientists now know that, gratitude is important, but I think we learn that in our lives without having to have scientists tell us. But they know that it also can help people when they're ill, helps with healing. So the first one, which I really appreciated, was to be grateful for nothing. That nothing has happened, like just be grateful that there's nothing going on. If you have kind of a boring life, then you've got things to be grateful for, right? You're not in a fight with someone, or you're not having a hard time finding food to eat or ways to keep warm. And there are so many people that's how their lives are focused. We know that. And that's always, I think that's one to always come back to, like coming back to our breath when we're meditating. Be grateful for nothing. The second one is make gratitude your central spiritual practice. And that one was what I had already decided that I needed to do. And so I was really happy to see it be on this list. To just let think about gratitude as it can be the focus of your meditation. It can be the focus of your intentions for the day. So your spiritual practice includes what you do all the time. I mean, it's not just sitting on the cushion. Your spiritual practice is how you're living your life. So if you bring gratitude into that, you're always looking for ways people are being kind to you. So you're being appreciative of that. You're being grateful for that. You may notice special people who have really helped you with something difficult, or if you've come to one of the monks to talk to them about something that you're confused about or you're concerned about. You have people in your life like that who have helped you through a difficult time or helped you see something more clearly, which is really what the Dhamma is. The Dhamma is just seeing things the way they are, seeing things clearly. And it's easy. We can think, oh, I see this the way it is. A lot of times we need someone else to help us. And the gratitude when someone helps you see a situation more clearly, that's a big way to think. You can, if you're having a bad day, you might just sit and think about who are some people, friends or teachers who have helped you lately, and just generate that sense of gratitude towards them. The third one is to appreciate irritating people. Now, the Buddha would have said specifically, you don't need to be grateful to people who haven't helped you or who have led you astray. Like, the gratitude he's talking about is based on someone who has been of great benefit to you, that their kindness has led them to helping you in something that leads you deeper into a really good spiritual practice. So someone who helps you see things more clearly. But this suggestion is to appreciate irritating people. Be grateful to everyone is how this was first taught by the person who brought Buddhism into Tibet. Just the phrase, be grateful to everyone. And that means all those people that you don't think are so wonderful or that are always making you feel crazy. Feel gratitude to them because they can sometimes open an area in your life that you want to work on or improve. They may help you see something either about yourself or about how you some quality, just the irritation that you can work with and deal with. The fourth one is become highly responsible to kindness received. And that's really the definition that the Buddha's talking about when he talks about gratitude, because of that relationship between kindness and gratitude. They're always teaching each other. So if someone does you a real kindness is when someone actually can do something. They do something for you. They see you're suffering. They see you're hurting, or they see you're in need. And their great kindness is their response to it. So try to just think about that during the day. Like, maybe find one person in that day whose kindness you can focus in on and really be aware of it and what made it a great kindness. And that's a beautiful teaching. And the Buddha did say kind and grateful people are rare. So those are those rare people that are the ones that we can sense we can feel the action that they're making towards us from their kindness, and that would be one of those that you can sense the realness of it, the truth of it. And then the fifth one is look for the silver lining. So train yourself to see the positive of a situation, even if it's basically negative. I know with my mother dying, I've learned a lot about what grief really is, and that it can become not a heavy emotional burden, but it will eventually become, we lose everything we love. It's a way for us to look at this journey through life. And there are people who are, we could maybe scale people, how close we were to them or how related they were to us. But this grieving we have to work with it some way, because sure, life is impermanent. So even seeing how much love, maybe it shows us too more about how much love we have for a person than we even realized, how interconnected we are with all of not only people, but, if you see a forest cut down, or if you have a favorite tree that's ever had to be cut down, maybe some of you lost trees in the last ice storms, but even those things that we know, we have more of a sense they're impermanent. But when we lose them, there's a little bit of grief with that. So just understanding that grief is a natural human emotion, and that's part of our being human. But it doesn't need to be. Something that tears us apart or tears us down. It can be something that can become a beautiful memory of a person. So I think in other negative situations, you've probably all had experiences where you had to really struggle to see what was good about a situation, but you might have found something that was very helpful. And then I'm going to skip over the little story I had about that, but then the number 6 is to expand your mindfulness. And this is good for anything, but to see that gratitude more is to expand mindfulness. So part of what he's talking about here is if you're expanding your mind, you can be looking just on, say, an ordinary, normal, maybe boring day, or a day where you have chores or appointments, and you can look and see what in this day right in front of you is there to have gratitude towards. Maybe it's the fact that you remembered all your appointments and you didn't forget anything, or you were able to get out in time and not be running late to appointments. But you can look for opportunities to see something to be grateful for in any situation. And that's expanding your awareness, your mindfulness. And that's what we want to do anyway. So a tool for enriching your spiritual practice is to look for opportunities. And I think you can expand it to opportunities for kindness and opportunities for gratitude towards the kindness of others. And make that maybe at the end of the day, go over in your mind or write in a journal where you've noticed that. And it's also to see clearly the factors that make your life pleasant and comfortable. Because that's certainly something that we can identify. What makes so if you got a good night's sleep before you woke up in the morning because you had a bed and you had a warm house and you had certain comforts, and we can be grateful because we know that's not just a given for everybody. And we may feel that we're in a situation where it's perfectly wonderful. And so, but we can have gratitude for that because it's not a given that everybody has a warm house and a comfortable bed and a something to wake them up on time. So even the smallest things we can see and learn to have gratitude for. And then the kind of kindness that develops is the kindness that can see when maybe someone else that we're dealing with doesn't have we can understand they don't have that kind of a pleasant and comfortable life, or something might be missing for them in their normal daily life that might make them maybe be one of those irritating people. It might help us see when we can reach out with kindness and be of some help, or help that person, because we recognize the comfort of our own lives. Then the seventh one. Oh, he also stressed. Philip Moffitt is the teacher who talked about this. And this one, I thought, after the pandemic, this one we all can understand this one. Be consciously grateful. This is under expand the mind. Be consciously grateful to all who came before you, who made it possible for your existence to be comfortable, informed, and empowered. Mentally note each day people who invisibly serve us by providing our basic needs. So we can be grateful. We can be grateful for the Buddha as a teacher who came before us and left the information in his teachings on the path that led to his enlightenment. We can be grateful to our teachers who have dedicated their lives to teaching the Buddha's path. So we can also be grateful for, this is when I had a real rush of thinking about the pandemic, all the people who kept working, and we didn't even notice when we were at home. But first thought for me was all the people who worked in the grocery stores and kept them open and came to work, and they probably had kids at school and it was difficult to come to work. And then we all think about the people and the men and women and the caregivers for people who were sick, and when families couldn't even be with their own loved ones who were sick. And just the people who were risking their own lives working in close contact with people. And the people who were picking up the garbage. I mean, we didn't have over a year's worth of garbage waiting for us to deal with. There were all those people who were just kept things going, and the list goes on and on. So it's if we can think about that can generate. You can think about that from something maybe that happened in your life yesterday or today. But if your well runs dry, think back to when we were under lockdown and all the people that kind of kept our world going. And then the last one that I didn't get to on Saturday is start each day with a short chant of gratitude. And I think this could be you could write your own chant, or you could find one of the little chants in the chanting book, maybe, or My Wish, something that I like that their suggestion was to do a chant. It could also be a prayer. It could also be, you could create a mantra maybe every day, just a short phrase that you could use. Something. Start each day with a short chant of gratitude. And here are some of the things you can that are suggested. Remember creatures, people, and the elements. Just the water, air, fire, and earth. Just those basic elements that are kind of the keystone of our existence that we're made up of and the earth is made up of. So you could think about creatures. My squirrels would fit in with that one every day. People and the elements. And then you can think about your elders and ancestors. Or just think about the earth. These are the things we can be grateful for. Think about health. Think about family and friends. And think about your community. So maybe every day you can put into your own little chant or your own little meditation, something that you can find that feeling within you of gratitude, or that had come up for you during the day. And then the last thing in this from this teacher said there's a dark side. It's not really too dark. But the dark side is that this is gratitude. Working with gratitude can become very powerful, but you don't want it to lead to you being complacent. So it doesn't mean, okay, I'm going to be thinking about gratitude all the time, but I'm not going to do anything about what I'm just going to be grateful for people, and if they don't have a place to live or food to eat, that's okay, because I'm grateful for them. But that's when you aren't going to become complacent if you go back to that marriage between kindness and gratitude. So gratitude comes from a great kindness, and we can expand it to include, even creatures in the earth. But we have to remember that the great kindness is when we help someone with something they really need, when we see they need it. The Buddha saw that people needed to know about why we're unhappy, about suffering, about how we can end that suffering so we can have a life with more joy in it. So that was the kindness. He could have gone off and just lived the rest of his physical life enjoying being an enlightened being. He could have probably found that someone would have let him live in a cave, on their property. And he could have done that. But so he knew so many, what he knew, even a handful of what he knew, he could teach people. And there might be people who could understand what his experience had been. So it was out of his great kindness that the Buddhist teachings came into the world. So all great spiritual teachers, I'm sure they had other options than to just be teaching people who didn't want to understand things or wanted to kill them or did kill them. So all of them were doing it not out of a sense of this is maybe a lot of fun, but out of a sense of deep, deep, sincere kindness. And the word gratitude means to have a sense of what was done. Have a sense of what was done, those acts of kindness towards us. So that's my talk, and I think does anybody have a thought or a question they'd like to ask, or your own experience? I'm sure we've all had experiences with grief and loss and discomfort. But it's good to know that we can use the gratitude and kindness to help lift us up out of whatever experiences we encounter. Okay, thank you very much.